If everyone can take their seats. It is time for our last session of the day. For our last session, Chris Cummings, the FAFSA technical lead, and Nita Solnikar, our FAFSA stakeholder engagement lead, will bring you up to date on the latest and the greatest with the FAFSA. Welcome, Chris and Nita.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hey, okay, good. I'm glad you all stayed with us for the 4 p.m. FAFSA update. We have got a lot of good news, so buckle up. Let's get to it. But first, we are not going to give you any final information on any rulemaking, and everything here is not prejudging any final rulemaking. Thank you. Okay, so today we're going to go through the FAFSA mission and strategy. We start all of our big team meetings with the FAFSA mission and strategy, and this group is part of the extended FAFSA team, so we wanted to start off this meeting today with that. We're going to give you some updates on the metrics, share some of the insights that we've learned from our users, talk about what we've learned from our partners, and then give you a preview of what's next. So first, what is the mission of the FAFSA team? The FAFSA team is focused on unlocking human potential by expanding access to financial aid for higher education. Yeah, good. Higher education is transformative for so many people's lives. Opens up new career possibilities. It expands social mobility. It allows people to develop personally, intellectually, civically. It is so fundamental to so many people's lives, and the FAFSA is the nation's largest funder of higher education. It distributes over $120 billion each year, and last year it was over $38 billion in Pell Grants, which is opening the doors of higher education to a broader population than would otherwise be able to go. It is a privilege to be able to work on such a fundamental program, and the FAFSA team is very excited and motivated by this mission. So what's our strategy? There are 5 pillars to our strategy, and the first one is student success. This is a little cheesy, but I sometimes look at the federal student aid logo, and in the middle is the student, federal student aid, and that's true with our strategy too. We center our strategy on the student. That is why we are all here, is to help more students. And we think about that deeply as part of our first and most important part of our strategy for the FAFSA team. Second is empowering the financial aid community. It really, truly takes a village to get people to and through higher education. It takes all the people in this room. It takes all the people working on the FAFSA team, people throughout federal student aid, people at high schools, counselors, community-based organizations. It really does take a village for the student to succeed. And we want to do everything we can to empower this broader financial aid community. Third, the FAFSA exists on the basis of public trust, and we think that every day it is our job to wake up and earn and sustain that public trust. That means that this program has to have the very highest standards of program integrity, security, ethics. All of this exists because the public entrusts us to do it well, and we take that as like a very core part of our strategy, is to earn and sustain the public trust. Fourth, in order to do that, we have high standards of excellence for our speed, service, reliability. We're trying to raise those standards and do a better job on these core fundamental operational points of excellence. And then fifth, and the foundation of what we do, is having a high-performing team. So this starts with a clear mission, strategy, leadership, and people with the skills and expertise to execute on this vision. So that's our strategy. You're now all read in to the mission and approach that we're taking. Let's go through some of, I will say today we'll put a little bit more focus on empowering the financial aid community given the audience, but we're also going to talk a lot about students. Okay, metrics update. So, it's been a historic year so far. It started with the earliest launch of the FAFSA in its history. We did launch even before the October 1st deadline. And we didn't just launch the same FAFSA as the year before. We fixed the fundamental bugs that were plaguing users, and we also made some pretty significant improvements. We allowed people to sign up for a federal student aid account and get verified instantly. So for the first time, you could actually create an account and fill out your FAFSA in one sitting. We also fixed one of the biggest challenges that were causing people problems last year, which was the contributor invite problem, which was making it difficult for students to invite their parents and spouses, and also making it difficult for those contributors to come back to the forum. It was the #1 source of customer calls. It was the biggest reason why people didn't complete the FAFSA, and we completely overhauled it so that you just need to enter the email now. It's much easier, and we were seeing much more success because of that. And the metrics are starting to bear that out. So NCAN has highlighted that we are on track for a record high number of FAFSA completions among high school seniors this year, which is amazing. We also are seeing that due to FAFSA simplification, in the last 25-26 FAFSA cycle year, 1.7 million additional students are now eligible for maximum Pell Grants as compared to pre-simplification. So we are seeing that a faster, easier, simplified FAFSA is leading to more access to higher education and more Pell Grants going to students who are eligible. Okay, let's get even more concrete on some of the numbers for the data folks among us, and I think with financial aid administration experts, there's a lot of people who do like numbers. So here's what I'll draw your attention to. If you look over on the right of this chart, the year-over-year submissions, 24-25 was a tough year, and the submissions at this time of the year were down 38%. This is through February. For 25-26, through February, we were up 33% over 24-25. And for 26-27, we're now 17% over where we were last year. And I think maybe the most important thing is that before simplification, we are actually higher even than we were in 23-24. We're 11% higher than we were before FAFSA simplification. So this is reinforcing that we are seeing more people start the application and more people submit the application. It's a tremendous amount of progress for helping more students have access to aid. But there is something lurking here that is actually a big problem. I don't know if anybody sees it, but I'll pull it out here. For 26-27, we have 10.6 million people that have started and 9 million people that have submitted. And I'll just jump back here. If you look on the prior years, there's actually an even wider gap last year. So what we've seen over a broad cycle year is that the difference between the number of people who start the FAFSA and the number who submit it can be as high as 2 million people. This is a big, big challenge and a big opportunity to help more people get access to aid. So you can see at the bottom of the slide that the FAFSA team has set a goal. We're trying to increase the completion rate of the FAFSA from 89.5%, which is what it was in prior cycles, to 92%. If we do that, it will provide access to financial aid for an additional 500,000 students in each cycle year. So this is a very motivating goal for the overall mission of helping unlock human potential by providing access to financial aid for higher education. All right. So we don't just want more people to complete the FAFSA, we want it to be a great experience completing the FAFSA. And the numbers are bearing this out. So when someone completes the FAFSA, we ask them to rate their overall experience. The satisfaction rate among people filling out the FAFSA is now at 95%, which we think is extraordinary for a complicated financial form that for many people they're unfamiliar with. 91% of people felt the FAFSA form took a reasonable amount of time to complete, and we are seeing in our latest analysis, which is showing that the average time to submit for a student and parent is about 30 minutes, that indeed the FAFSA is a lot faster than people anticipate. So for a lot of people, it's really like a 15-minute experience per person. And I think that goal of the 15-minute FAFSA is something that communicates how quick and easy the FAFSA is becoming for most people. Learning from our users. So how do we make the FAFSA faster and easier and simpler? And the answer is our users. So we were hoping to play a video highlighting the experience of Shakara, who is a youth experiencing homelessness who has bounced between couches at different homes, has a very unstable, had a very unstable life, was responsible for some of her siblings, and for her, education was a path to stability. As she says in the video, education is everything. And when we are working on the FAFSA and trying to make it easier and faster and simpler for people, we keep people like Shakara in mind because it's not easy for everybody. And the stakes are high. The stakes can be truly life-changing. So we want more people like Shakara to have success as they're filling out the FAFSA and open up the doors of opportunity to more students like her. And we've tried to do that systematically. So the way that we approach learning from our users is that we gather information from all over the place. We're going to beta events and meeting people in person. We're going to FAFSA nights and seeing how people fill out the form and where they're having trouble. We're on Reddit reading what people are posting when they have problems. We're conducting user interviews before we launch new features to validate that things are easy to understand and intuitive before we launch them to the public. We are conducting surveys of people who finished the FAFSA and asking them what went well, what didn't go well, what would you change, where did you have trouble. We're doing A/B testing where we can try out slightly different versions and see not only what do people think will go well, but what actually changes human behavior. How can we make it easier? We do all these things to try to better understand people's experience. And when we can better understand people's experience, we can make better prioritization decisions and fix the things that are causing people problems. And we also love a good quantitative analysis. So this is going to be, I mean, for anybody who can read the numbers on this, you get a prize. It's very challenging. But let me try to highlight for you what this is showing. So when we think about the 2 million people who start the FAFSA but never successfully complete it, we want to understand where are the biggest points of friction? Where are people dropping off in the process? And that's what this chart shows. This is showing critical milestones throughout the FAFSA form, and it's highlighting where did people drop off? Where's the last point that they successfully completed? And what we see is that at the beginning of the form, there's some drop off before state of residence, and part of this could be that people have to verify some of their address information, and maybe they get tricked up by that. We can see some people fall off before the marital status question, and maybe it's partly because federal tax information might have some trouble importing for some people, or maybe marital status is a tricky question for others. If you go down, you see the next big bar is answering what college do you want to send your FAFSA to, and did you put one college on the form? There's actually a fair amount of drop off there. Maybe people don't know exactly what college they want to send it to when they're at a FAFSA night, so it's actually a little bit challenging to answer that question. But the biggest one, and the one that I'd like to draw your attention to, is actually the very last one, which is that for students, a lot of them do complete the whole form, and then they have to get the contributor has to come in for the FAFSA to actually be complete. And this is our number one challenge right now, and one of the things that we're really focused on is how can we get more contributors to the FAFSA activated back into the form and help them submit their part so that the entire application can be complete and students can be eligible for aid. So if anybody here has ideas on this, wants to share like some strategies, there's a really big opportunity for us to close the gap of the number of people who started the FAFSA versus the number of people who successfully complete it, is how do we get more contributors activated and back into the form to do their portion quicker. Okay, so that's the user funnel. We do a lot of quantitative analysis as well. We'll change here. But let me show you an example of how this can make a difference in our product roadmap. So one of the challenges that we saw when at the FAFSA nights and reading user feedback and analyzing why people call the call center is that people had trouble with the student aid account. You know, before filling out the FAFSA, you had to create an account. And it turns out that creating an account was a pretty involved process itself. So the old process had 8 pages with 23 required fields. If you messed up after 3 login attempts, you were locked. And then you had to call. And man, that's frustrating. Account recovery was also very difficult. It took 11 minutes to create an account. And 37% of people who started the account didn't complete it. So when we think about the FAFSA, we actually have to go back a step and think about creating the FSA ID. And after learning all this, we had a team of designers and product managers and engineers that were focused on how can we make this better? How can we make this easier for people? And the team was able to reduce the number of pages from 8 to 6, reduce the number of steps from 23 to 12, simplify the login logic, allow you to have some more attempts to log in, And the results have been extraordinary. We now see more people logging in, more people successfully creating their ID, and this is making the entire FAFSA experience just faster and easier for everyone. Small little anecdote, just to see if everybody's awake. There is a FAFSA event in Arizona, and T-shirts were made. I don't know if people have been to FAFSA events, but we've been to many of them, and it's incredible how many times T-shirts are made. T-shirts are made. This is one of the better T-shirts. It said, the FAFSA is my second favorite F word, and and on the back it said, my first favorite F word is FSAID. I don't know what y'all are thinking, but the point is that the FSAID is so central to the FAFSA experience, and that is partly why we went through and did a big overhaul of what it takes to create an account and what it takes to log in to make it a lot easier, so more people could have success completing the FAFSA. Okay, another one. I don't know if we've got it. Boom. Okay. Just to show you in data. So this chart on the left is showing people that hit authentication failures when they're trying to log in. The line is showing when we launched the new improvements, and you can see an immediate drop in the number of people that are hitting errors. And then the chart on the right is showing the number of people that are submitting FAFSAs as the bars, and the line is the number of people who are having support problems, and they're calling in and say, I need help with my account. And what's amazing is that you can see after we launched the improvements, the number of FAFSAs went way up, because we launched it, but the number of support cases went down because we made it easier. And this makes it easier for students, it's faster, saves the taxpayer money, it's cheaper to operate, it's just better all around. And this is part of our philosophy where it's like sometimes an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Like the solution to this was to make it easier to log in, and then people don't have to call the call center and wait on hold to try to get their account unlocked. It can just work. Another example of a change that we made after noticing where people drop off is that we found at the start of the FAFSA, with the best of intentions, we introduced some videos that showed here's how the FAFSA works and here's what you're going to need to complete it. But what we found when we looked at the data and we watched people using the FAFSA is that a lot of times people would just leave at those videos. And it's like, well, shoot, we thought they were good videos. Why are you leaving? And there's a lot of reasons for it. One is that, maybe it sent people off to YouTube and now they're in the YouTube rabbit hole. Another is like maybe they're in a library and they can't watch a video, there's no audio, and so they're like, I have to come back later when I can actually watch this video. Another reason is the video said that, go prepare all your information, make sure you have your tax returns ready, and people are like, I don't have my tax return, so maybe I gotta come back and do this. But you don't actually need your tax return for most of the FAFSAs. So what do? We took all the information that's in the onboarding, we put it actually throughout the form as just-in-time information right before you actually need it, and we got rid of onboarding altogether. And the impact is that we now have a 44% reduction in the drop-off before the first question, and 360,000 students that could gain access to financial aid as a result. And this is incredible. This is one of the ways that by focusing on users and making it faster and easier, we have more people that get through successfully. So you won't have the videos at the front of the FAFSA, and now you know why. This one is a bit. So you may recall last year, or everybody here knows that FAFSAs can sometimes be rejected. You may not be aware, but you probably are, that the number one reason FAFSAs were rejected in prior years was that it was missing a student signature. Why is it missing a student signature? Why doesn't the student just sign? And why does the FAFSA allow you to submit it without the signature? It's a pretty interesting case study in the psychology of the FAFSA, but basically people would get to the end of the form and it would have you indicate that you have filled it out and filled it out to the best of your ability and is totally complete. Well, that's actually not true when you have a contributor that hasn't done any part of their form. So for a lot of people, they get to the end of the form, they'd say, okay, I should only sign it after it's complete, but it's not complete, so they wouldn't sign it. And then the parent would come in and do their part, and when they finish, it submits the form. So now you have a lot of FAFSAs that are submitted and then immediately rejected because they're missing the student signature. This is the number one reason why FAFSAs were rejected. So what do? We just clarified it, we simplified it. We said, when you're done with your part, sign the FAFSA saying that you're complete with, your part is done. You completed your part. And that's now what the signature says. And then when the parent comes in, they complete their part and sign it and submit it. And then the entire FAFSA is done. No rejects, you don't have to come back into the form, you don't have to figure out why it was rejected, have the scary message like, you might not be eligible for student aid until you fix this reject, and you're like, well, why is it rejected in the first place? It's a much better experience to just not have it rejected and have it go through correctly the first time. We made these changes, and the rejects dropped to essentially 0. Like, it just fixed it. So now there are hundreds of thousands of students that are going to fill out the FAFSA the first time correctly and get eligibility for aid because of this improvement. It's an incredible change to the FAFSA to help more people get through successfully. I sometimes think of it as like the missing signature miracle. Like it took it from #1 reject to not really a problem at all. Listening to our partners. I'm going to turn it over to Ethan now.
Thanks, Chris. All right, so we just talked a little bit about how we spend all this time learning from our users and some of the fixes that we've implemented to make the FAFSA processing experience better for everybody who interacts with the application. We want to talk now how we learn from all of you, our partners. And something that we think a lot about on the FAFSA team is about the successful outcome of submitting a FAFSA. So the successful endpoint of submitting a FAFSA is not that the student submits the FAFSA, it's that the student receives financial aid at the end of the process. And we know, everybody in this room knows that students don't get to that final endpoint without all of you. So it is really, really important to us that we engage all of you, we get your feedback, and we integrate that into the way we think about our product and our roadmap and what we plan. So a little bit about how we learn from our partners. We do a lot of different things. A couple examples are we have our state FAFSA working group that we meet with quite frequently, who are a great source of input and feedback. It's been invaluable for us over the past year and a half or so. We have our FAFSA coalition of membership organizations whose input is also incredibly valuable. We meet with vendors. Last year, for the very first time, we fielded a FAFSA feedback survey to institutions. Very grateful for everybody who filled that out. There will be a new version coming this year, and so we're very excited to see sort of what your updated concerns are and your feedback are. Beta events, ICER testing, like Chris mentioned, and we do a lot of user research and feedback sessions as well. This is all incredibly, incredibly important, and so thank you for all the feedback anybody in this room has given. There are many opportunities to keep providing that feedback, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. The picture you see here, I just wanted to highlight, this is a picture of a couple of our FAFSA team members, including Chris, with some of our partners on the ground in Arizona. Don't mean to be playing favorites with Arizona today. But this picture is in the middle of a fire drill that they experienced during a beta event while it was 115 degrees outside. This is how much we care about partner feedback. All right. So what we wanted to do is take you on a little bit of a tour of some of the feedback that we've gotten over the past year or so. If you have been to one of the FAFSA update sessions at either the NASFA conference or NCAN, you will have had the opportunity to participate in one of our FAFSA Madness brackets. This is the way we democratically get feedback about what features we should prioritize in our roadmap. So I'm going to give you a quick tour of some of the feedback we've heard from our stakeholders over the past year. So this was from the NASFA Leadership Conference back in June of last year. You can see some of the options here. I won't read through all of them, but a couple I'll throw out there. We see modernized ICER format as an option on the top left, the ability to compare transactions in the FAFSA partner portal, real-time processing, the ability to manage multiple cycle years in FPP, and simplifying TD authentication. I'll give you a second to guess what came out as the winner. Real-time processing. That was #1 by and far the #1 thing that folks voted for in that session. Switching gears a little bit, later that month, as I said, we fielded for the very first time our school experience survey in June of last year. Asked a bunch of different questions about what you wanted to see differently on the FAFSA, what are your major challenges, your barriers, what we should be prioritizing. One of the last questions on that survey was if you could pick one improvement to the FAFSA processing experience, what would it be? And here are what the top responses you gave us were. #1, again, real-time processing and delivery. Everybody's really interested in the FAFSA results coming instantaneously. #2, the ability to compare transactions within the FAFSA partner portal. Integrations with NSLDS and COD and FPP, and the ability to manage multiple award years within FPP. So a little bit of consistency there. And then one more FAFSA Madness bracket for you at the NCAN conference in the fall. We did a similar bracket. Given the sort of audience of college advisors and college access professionals, focused a little bit more on the student experience here. Some of the options: improving the college high school search function, the ability to see real-time results, again, allow immediate corrections, making post-submission steps clearer. You can see some of the options here. And what came out as the winner here was a tie. It was a really, really close call, but we all agreed that it was a tie between a verification notification to students, so an email notification to students who were selected for verification, and again, real-time results and the ability to do corrections in real time. With that said, here's where we're going. So today we are incredibly excited to announce that real-time processing is coming to the FAFSA. Yeah. As you all know, currently, if a student fills out the FAFSA, it takes 1 to 3 days for them to get a processed application. They hit submit, they see a confirmation page, there's an estimated student aid index, but they have to wait a couple days, and it also means that they have to wait to see if there's any rejections on their application. They can't make corrections immediately. So by summer 2026, this year, nearly all students who submit a FAFSA form are going to be able to immediately know whether their application has been successfully processed. They will be able to see their confirmed SAI and Pell Grant eligibility, and if there are any rejects, they will right then and there be able to begin a correction and see the corresponding changes to their SAI. This is huge, and this is a big step in the direction of a world we want to see where a student comes, let's say, to a FAFSA event. They've never even logged on to studentaid.gov before. They sit down, they create their account. Because of real-time identity verification, they can create an account and get into the FAFSA immediately. They can do the application, they can submit it, their contributor can do their part, and they can immediately see whether their application is processed and what their SAI is and what their Pell Grant eligibility is. And this is huge. We want to streamline the process as much as possible for students. And this is a big step we're very excited about. A couple things to note here. What this means is that results will also be immediate in the FAFSA partner portal. So FAAs can immediately go in and start making corrections and see those results in the FAFSA partner portal. So if you need to make a correction on the fly with your students in your office, that'll be available. What's not going to change is ICER delivery. So ICERs will stay delivered on a nightly basis in batch. It's just interesting to hear the feedback. I heard a lot of ahs there. So that you will not see a change in the frequency or cadence of your ICERs coming in. So we're very excited about that. More information to come as we get closer to implementation. Next, I want to go through a couple updates we've made to the FAFSA partner portal in response to some of the feedback that we've gotten. So one, you now have the ability to print the FAFSA submission summary. Two, you can compare ICER transactions in a really user-friendly way. So you can pull up 2 transactions, look at the difference field by field. States, if we have state agencies in the room, can now request ICERs by social security number. And then perhaps most importantly, we've now updated the application receipt timestamp to say specifically that it's in Central Time. We know that there's been some confusion from some states about what the deadline is, whether students have made their state FAFSA filing deadline. That is now super clear in the FAFSA partner portal. So I hope that is helpful. And then one more change that is forthcoming is that from 26-27 moving forward, we are going to go back to the world of one link for the FAFSA partner portal. Later this spring, when you start logging in using the 26-27 link, that's going to redirect to a generic URL. Starting in 27-28, with that cycle, you can use that same link moving forward. 25-26 will stay the same. That will still be its unique link. We just didn't grandfather that forward. But from 26-27 forward, we will go back to one link for the FAFSA partner portal. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Chris.
Oh, cool. Thanks, Neitha. A couple more exciting updates. We are rolling out pre-filled data for the same cycle applicants in the coming months. So this means that if you are a parent and you have 2 kids in college, you don't have to fill out the FAFSA twice. And as much as we want the FAFSA to be a delightful and fast and easy experience, people don't really want to do it twice. So With same cycle prefill, if you happen to be a student who's also a parent or a student who's also a spouse, if we already have the information on your FAFSA, we're going to prefill the fields that you already answered in the prior version of filling out the FAFSA. Should make it a lot easier, and we think that this could help streamline the FAFSA for more than 2 million people in the next cycle. But what's even bigger is that if you are doing a renewal application, so you filled out the FAFSA in the prior year, we're going to start pre-filling your data in 27-28 with the questions that you answered for the previous year. So instead of having to go, answer every question, you can just validate that the information's still correct, that, it's similar to what it was last year. And we expect that this could help save time for over 10 million people in the FAFSA next year. So faster, easier FAFSA is coming. It's coming to a lot more people. Also, for contributors and students who have an individual taxpayer identification number, we're going to be rolling out in the coming months the ability to import data from the IRS. So for that group, it should also be a faster, easier, and simpler FAFSA. The best questions on the FAFSA are the ones that you don't have to answer. And so for more and more people, we're just going to add the data or pull the data and make it automatic and simpler. Also, we are, as Aaron mentioned this morning, going to be taking on the responsibility of doing identity verification. So again, it bears repeating, thank you for all the help with identity verification last summer. Myself and others, we were surprised to learn about the amount of fraudulent actors related to the FAFSA. It has been a challenge for many schools across the country. We talked to schools where a significant portion of their applicants were just fake. We talked to schools where they have full-time people that are just focused on fraud. It is a big, big challenge. It is a challenge for the integrity and trust of the entire federal student aid program, and it's something that we are taking very seriously and trying to address. And the challenge is so big and so hard, it's very difficult for any one school or any one system to take it on. But at the scale of federal student aid, where everybody is coming through and doing the application with us, it's a much easier problem to tackle, and we are going to tackle it. So coming this spring, we're going to have real-time fraud detection implemented on the FAFSA form, where we are confirming identities. And for those that we determine are fraud, we're going to reject the FAFSA. But the student can come into your office, you can do V4 verification, make a correction, and then they will be eligible to get the full processing, and you could distribute aid once they get an SAI. This is a significant change. We estimate that this has already contributed to $1 billion in savings for federal taxpayers by reducing the number of fraudulent actors in the FAFSA, and it's something that we're going to continue to improve upon in the coming months and year. What's next? All right, so we've given you a preview of a number of features that are coming up, but there's still more. Okay, one big beautiful bill. There is a change coming to the FAFSA, as you are aware, where people will now be eligible for to use Pell Grants on workforce programs. The students must meet the Pell Grant eligibility criteria. It's going to be calculated for enrolled students even if they have a bachelor's degree. And the way it's going to be calculated is that the FAA must indicate the enrollment in a workforce program via FPP or EDE correction in order for that student to be eligible for a workforce program. The second big change from the new legislation is that there will be loan limits. So this includes modified aggregate loan limits, new lifetime maximum, annual limits for students enrolled in less than full time, plus loans. You guys have already been made aware of these. And but the thing that I really want to emphasize is that there are changes to the ICER. We do not like making changes to the ICER mid-cycle. It is very disruptive, but we have to follow the law. And the law says that we have to implement the new loan limits, and we have to implement the new Pell changes, and that requires us to change the ICER. So for everybody who's not totally and completely aware, there are changes coming to the ICER. The changes are already public. You can already go look at them. And the changes will be implemented on April 26th. So if there's like one really critical to do for everybody in this room, is to get ready for the changes to the ICER on April 26th. If there aren't changes to the system, ICERs will not import. So there's a very important thing for everybody here. Tell your colleagues, tell your friends, put it on social media. People are gonna love to know this. But there are changes to the ICER. It's coming April 26th, and the systems have to be updated to accommodate them. They're not big changes, like the length of a field for a loan limit is changing. It's like a small change, but if the systems aren't updated, they won't work. So this is a very important thing for people to be aware of. April 26th, ICER changes are coming.
You want to do it?
No, go ahead. Back to Neetha.
All right, to wrap us up, a little bit of a looking ahead to the 27-28 cycle. So number one, if you're not aware already, the 27-28 PDF form has been posted and is available for public comment through mid-April. If you have not already checked it out, take a look. We've made some really great improvements to the questions and welcome any and all comments through this process. So you can find it on the Federal Register, and there is an electronic announcement that was released a few weeks ago with this as well. And then second, looking ahead to the release of the 27-28 form, we will again be beta testing the FAFSA application before releasing it to the general public by October 1. The application to host Beta 1 events, we are hoping to release that sometime in April, so look out for that. We will be announcing that. Like last year, beta events will begin in early August. That will be a pretty limited set of in-person events that the FAFSA team shows up to in person to really see how the form is working for students. We'll be doing some ICER testing with a few institutions to validate that the information's coming through correctly and everything's working. And then by October 1, as we are mandated by the FAFSA Deadline Act, we will be launching the 27-28 to the general public. So stay tuned for all of that. All right, we are heading to the end, and I think we couldn't finish a session about how we are listening to our partners without actually listening to our partners. So we are gonna do a quick feedback quiz. So pull out your phones. You can either go to the QR code there, or you can go to slido.com and enter that number. And I'm gonna grab my computer as you're doing that. So we've got a couple questions for you. All right, biggest improvement of the FAFSA experience in 26-27 so far. We'd love to know what that is. I would be sharing my screen. We can't share screens now, so we're gonna have to follow along together on our phones. I see some answers coming in. Less rejects, instant identity verification. Easier to complete, identity verification. I'm just going to read out some of these. You all should be able to see the answers coming in as well, different responses from your colleagues. Less videos to watch. We all love that one. Let's see. Fewer missing signatures. Great. A lot of identity verification, a lot of same-day identity verification. Great to know. All right, I'm going to let the responses come in for a little bit longer. I see 38 people typing. Easier FSA ID process. That's right. Simpler. Great. Great to know. All right. In the interest of time, we're going to move on. Next question. What are some opportunities to improve the FAFSA experience in 27-28? What do you want to see? Add the housing question. I'm going to talk about that one. I think you all colluded before this quiz, because that's one answer. Better parent contributor verification. All right. All right, we're going to call it on this one because we get it. All right, next, different flavor of question. We're going to rank some new feature ideas. Number one, so before I said that ICERs are not going to be delivered in real time with real-time processing, would you like to see ICERs delivered in real time? Is that something you want to say? Okay. gotta get in there. Received processed FAFSA data via API, so in a more modern format than the SAIG mailbox. Number three, standardized financial aid offer letter or guidance. Data to connect eligible students to public benefit programs they might be eligible for. Document collection tool to support verification efforts. And what did I miss here? Oh, the ability to access in-progress FAFSA application statuses. All right, let's see how we're doing. All right, I see clear consensus emerging for receiving ICERs in real time. It's good to know, really helpful for us. And then it's a fight for the second spot, but I think the ability to access in-progress FAFSA application statuses coming out number two. And document collection tool to support verification efforts coming out number three. Great, good to know. All right, moving on to the last question. What is your number one ask of the FAFSA team this year? We'll bring the cowbell next time, and we'll bring coordinated sparkly red jackets next time as well. Housing, okay. All right. Housing, okay, we got it. Someone apologized, housing still, sorry. Fraud detection. Simpler ICERs. And housing times 10. All right, thank you, everybody. With that, we're gonna move into Q&A with the time that we have left. I'm gonna let these answers come in, and we're gonna move ahead. So one more QR code for you all. Like previous sessions, please use the QR code to submit your questions. It's helpful for us to have a document of sort of what questions we have and aren't able to answer. We will also be taking some questions live in the room, but let's give folks a minute to get to this other question link, and then we'll start doing some Q&A, and then we'll invite some colleagues up to help us with Q&A.
Can I say one thing on housing?
Yeah, sure.
So whenever we say, what should we do? You people are all like, bring back the housing question. And we totally get it. And we can't do it under the current law. So, or at least our policy people tell us that. So here's what we need from you. We need you to call Karen McCarthy and Melanie Story, and we need you to say, hey, NASFA, we need you to prioritize going to the Hill and making a technical correction to the Higher Education Act and the FAFSA Simplification Act to allow for the housing question to be added to the FAFSA, okay? Because adding the housing question to the FAFSA is real easy. Like, we could do that tomorrow. It's not legal. And there's lots of things I would like to do tomorrow that aren't legal. And that's like not even the top one. So we will do it for you, but we need your help. Okay. Should we? Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Cool. You want to come up? Yeah. Want to come up? Yeah. Want to come up?
Yeah. Oh, we gotta get some real answers.
Yeah. I don't see anything in the doc, so should we take?
Yeah, let's start with some live questions. Actually, I'll just stay.
Why don't you MC?
I don't know Q&A doc.
Is that right?
All right, just bear with us for a second. All right, do we have any questions? Yeah, let's start on this end, thank you.
Hi, thank you all very much. First thing is I want to thank you all for the access invitation link on FAFSA.gov for parents. That's been really helpful. Second, with regards to identity verification, can you walk us through what that's going to look like as far as what are you actually verifying? Is it just that it's a valid Social Security number?
Yeah, so the questions around sort of what are we doing on our end around identity verification and fraud prevention. What we're doing, the main vector right now of fraud is stolen identities. So there was a world where the main vector of fraud was you're inputting your own income information or whatever. But now with the FADDX, that's cut out for the most part. So the main vector of fraud right now is stolen identities, where someone comes in, they've got an SSN, they've got a last name, they've got a birth date that matches someone else. That lets them through. And then they're able to complete the FAFSA. And then they show up at your campus, or they don't show up at your campus, but they enroll at your campus. They send an AI bot to attend classes for a week. You disperse. Everyone goes home sad, except for the fraudster. And so what we're doing is, in real time, verifying data on the FAFSA to ensure this really is the person who they say they are. I'm not, for obvious reasons, we're not going to go into like the exact things that we're doing on this, but we're working with a firm that works with all of the big banks in order to, that runs a similar type of process, so that to have that level of security, for the same level of security if you're going to take out a loan. As you might imagine, big banks have a lot of interest in not giving you out, so to speak, and not giving you out a loan if they're not really who they say they are. And there's a lot of good technology around this. We're bringing that technology onto the FAFSA to get a same level of confidence, the same level of confidence that a bank would have before they give out a loan.
And a follow-up to that, if they already have a verified account, how are you handling those situations? Is it when they reapply for the next year?
That's a great question. So at the moment, I think when you say verified, you mean sort of with Social Security
Yeah, with the
Administration?
studentaid.gov account.
Yeah. So right now, if you go on studentaid.gov and it says the account's verified, that means we've verified with Social Security Administration. All of that means that's important, but all that means is that they have given us a last name, Social Security number, and date of birth triplicate that matches, right? So this Social Security number matches this last name, matches this date of birth. That's all we're verifying with the Social Security Administration. That does nothing around identity fraud, right? And so while it's important that you be verified with Social Security Administration, you need to be more than that. And so every time you fill out the FAFSA, we're going to be running this real-time fraud screen on to make sure this really is the person that they say they are.
Thank you.
Right. Yes, right here.
Hello, thank you. I have a question regarding adding and removing schools.
Sure.
There was a glitch that I was running across with a few students where they would do for example, they would do the 26-27 FAFSA, but they needed to do the 25-26. So I would tell them you need to add, well, let's take that back. I didn't see their 25-26 FAFSA, but it's because my school was not added on there. I walked through several times with students where they would add the school and then it would cycle them back through where it would show in progress, not processing, and it would never solidify to the point to where they would have to start a new application all the way and put my school on there in order to successfully submit it. So my first question is, has that been fixed, or is there a fix for that? And then number two, I guess regarding the entrance loan counseling, I believe, there is another glitch where they would add the school, or they would try to add the school, but it's like, it's hard to explain, but I walked through it with them, and we were not able to like easily add the school for the entrance loans counseling. I know there's two different things, so mainly for the FAFSA, has that been fixed, or is there a workaround so that they're easily able to add the school and I can get their FAFSA information?
You want me to take that? I think you should talk about it.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can.
Well, there are a couple of things there. One, sorry.
It's okay.
For the confusion between the 25-26 FAFSA and the 26-27 FAFSA, we've actually found that that's not uncommon. Mm-hmm. There's a fair number of students who mistakenly fill out the FAFSA for the wrong year. Mm-hmm. And we are actively doing user research on improvements to the FAFSA to help people more clearly make a selection for the correct year.
That's good.
So hopefully that will help with the root.
A lot.
One of the root causes. On the school, adding a school bug, we'd love to learn more about that. It's not
Okay.
something that's on our radar, but I believe that it could be an issue. So yeah, it would be helpful to know like what the student was and try to track down that bug.
Yeah.
We don't have like a solution for it right now, but
Okay.
it'd be good to understand more about it.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
And then on entrance counseling, we don't
Yeah,
manage
don't answer that,
product,
that
so
was
I don't know.
just.
All right, I'm going to take one question from the questions that are coming from the overflow room. I think this is for Aaron. There's a number of questions about how the real-time identity verification is going to work and what are some of the reject codes they might see.
Oh, great. Sorry, I guess I'm in the wrong, I don't see the questions, so I don't,
Yeah, I got it.
okay.
Yeah.
So more to come on the specifics of that. So I don't have like an exact reject code number to give you. So we'll get you specifics on that. But you will receive an ICER. That ICER will be in rejected status. You are under no obligation to do anything with that ICER. So that's the sort of key distinction between the old world of it's got an SAI, but it's V4 or V5 flagged. If you get an ICER and it says this ICER, we believe this person to be fraud, you don't even do anything with it. If that person then shows up at your door, well, let me back up. Thanks to all of your help, we flagged all of these people that we believe to be fraud in the summer or the fall of last year. In August, the 180,000 applications that we believe to be fraud that were flagged for V5 verification were all flagged by this vendor that we're now going to be using to do real-time fraud detection. Your reporting back of verification results was tremendously helpful. The vendor was given a fraud risk score based on all of the data from 1 to 99. Applications that the vendor flagged as being a 99 of fraud risk that we then flagged for you had a false positive rate of 0.4%. So in 0.4% of the time, you said back to us, oh, actually, I was able to verify that person. That's like the level of like, maybe you clicked the wrong button in FPP. And so we have a lot of confidence that at that level, it's fraud. Now, 0.4% isn't zero, right? And we don't want any, I mean, to Chris's point, we're trying to get to 92% of people who start a FAFSA form or completed it. So we don't want any of those, we don't lose any of those people. So we need there to be a way that in those 0.4% of cases, they can still get access to aid. And so that's where it comes in, where you'll be able to go in and do a correction. You can do it in FPP, you can do it in batch, you can do it in Express, any way you can do a correction. You'll be able to do a correction that says, I completed identity verification for this person, they are legitimate. That'll then trigger a reprocessing, which will calculate an SAI and make it dispersible, assuming, of course, the rest of the application is fine. Exactly the details on like what the reject code is and exactly what that process, we'll get that out to you, we promise. But it'll follow the V4 verification steps. So it will not be new steps or new actions you need to take or you need to learn. It's just, again, it's not V4 verification literally, but it will use the sort of standards and steps of V4 verification. And if you then follow them with one of these rejects, you'll be able to go in and attest as part of doing a correction, yes, this is a real person, I want it dispersed to this person. Hopefully that answers the.
I think that's good, yeah. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much for all the work that you have all done. Prior to FAFSA simplification, I work in one of the 14 states, I think that there used to be, where there was a direct link from the FAFSA to our state grant application.
Yep.
I won't get into the details of the challenges that has caused me
Yep.
personally, my students, my administration, and the entire Commonwealth or state within which I am employed. Can you please bring that back? Please.
We are working on it.
Thank you.
We are working on it.
That's all I need. Thank you.
Bring it back, Nita.
Working on it.
Oh, can you say something about
You should, yeah.
the big update to drive more students to state applications?
Yeah. So one update we did make recently is that now more states, so students in more states will now see a prompt to go visit their state aid application or see more information on their state scholarship websites. I think previously it was only 6. While the data transfer went away, there was 6 states where students would be able to see some sort of prompt. That has been brought back to, I think, for a total of 18 states now. And that prompt is visible in many more places. We've seen the click-throughs increase by like 5-fold in a very short period of time. So that's been incredibly helpful. That is our stopgap. That is not enough. We are going to do more, but we are working on bringing it back. I want to go all the way to the end there.
Hello. Okay, so my question is regarding assets on the FAFSA. Are applicants who are eligible for Max Pell based on the poverty guidelines now being asked to report assets as a result of the OB3A Students who are eligible for Max Pell have been exempt from asset reporting in the past. Has this changed? I'm not sure you all are the right people to ask, but it seemed it was a FAFSA question, so.
The OB3 legislation didn't change that, but is there a concern there, reason you were asking?
I'm asking on behalf of another person who asked me to ask these questions. I usually ask my own questions, and I do have one,
Okay,
but I'm not.
that's fine. I just always like to dig in there
But
to
I
see if
think
there's
it's
a question
because-
under.
Is there not skip logic for it? Like, do they have to put assets in? They have to put assets in. That's why I think the question is coming up.
So the SAI
See,
calculation.
I got back there.
Yeah, the SAI calculation has not changed. So the SAI calculation and what feeds into that and whether or not someone has to provide assets did not change under OB3.
Okay,
Nothing
that
has
helps-
changed
that
to
helps
that
me
since the
understand
passing of FAFSA simplification.
Okay, thank you.
From the questions coming in online, there's a couple questions about whether we can make the high school question required. Do you have a response to that?
Yeah, like what high school? I don't know.
This is the moment when we turn to our policy.
Make it required.
You want to take that?
Look, Chris and I are just like beep bop computer guys, and Linnea's are like like cares about users, and then Linnea actually knows what the law says. So if it's like a beep bop, then you go to me and Chris. But
I guess I just want to know more with that question is the problem.
It's
Yeah, is it the name?
high school completion question.
high school
Yeah.
completion. High school completion is definitely required. We have to.
That's what I got.
All right, follow up.
All right.
Hey, person who asked that, wherever you are, just come up afterwards and find us.
talk to
Or
us
put
about
more information in the form.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'll look for another question in a minute. Yes.
The question was, you put the high school, when you don't put the high school where the person graduated from, and that causes a problem with disperse the eight.
I didn't hear that. Sorry.
Yes, ability to finish. You can't disperse the eight if the high school information is not on there.
Got it. So it's causing a problem because it can't disperse the aid if the high school information isn't there. But I think what we're saying is we think that question is required.
Let's follow.
We'll follow up.
Let's follow up on that.
Yeah.
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 Okay. We'll follow up later. Yes, down here.
So follow up to the fraud kind of prevention. So you keep saying the student could come in and give you documentation. We have a lot of online or, students that are not near our campus. Would they still be able to do some other type of verification electronically?
Yeah, so it's following the V4, V5 identity verification guidelines, which allows for online. It needs to be live, but
Right.
it allows, you can check the EA that we put out where we updated the guidelines for how to do V4, V5 identity verification, which includes an online option.
And I guess kind of a follow-up to that, I guess for us, we're a community college, inner city. We have a lot of people, and we've had a lot of fraud cases that we've found an external third party to help us vet out. But one of the problems is with documentation. Some of the documents they provide are then fraudulent, and we have to go through another step of verifying that those documents are even, real documents. So I think what you're doing is great. I just hope we can continue to work with you guys on finding additional ways to prevent that from happening in the future.
Yeah, totally. I think the key thing here that we are able to do that you guys aren't is we have access to live data as people are entering into the FAFSA, including how's their mouse moving? Are they on a
Yeah,
VPN?
like,
What's their IP address?
Is it a bot farm? Is it, yeah.
Are they coming from, when did they last, this email address, how long has it been active? Is it from a temporary email domain? That cell phone, has it ever been used to open a bank account? There's a lot of, and more that we have access to that you guys just don't. And so it's just a reason that we need to do it. Now, having said all that, are we going to solve all fraud? No, we will not. But I think that as FSA, with our scale and the fact that we have got the live data, we can I'd solve a lot more. Are we getting kicked off?
Yeah, we have
Can I do
to wrap.
one thing? Can I do one thing before we kick off?
Go for it.
Okay, I was going to do one thing before we kick off. I love being able to be here with you in person, and I think you all love being able to be here in person. The reason that this conference is happening right now is because James Bergeron, when he first came into office, said, we've got to do the FSA training conference again in person. And it was his leadership. And so I hope if you see James, you can say thank you, because so Meg Glick and her team have organized everything, and Anne Marie, and they deserve incredible credit for the work. James did nothing to organize this. But it takes incredible leadership and political courage to make the case in the environment he was making it, that we should be pulling together all of you in one place, and James deserves credit for that. So if you see him, thank him and give him a high five.